Hey guys, I've been keeping a secret from most people I've known for years now that I feel like I need to get off my chest. I'm a professional wrestling fan. Yes, you heard that right. Growing up like a lot of kids my age, I lived through the heyday of the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. Both the WWE and WCW were riding the height of their popularity during the time, and with that came merchandise, toys, and best of all, video games. Games like WCW NWO Revenge, WWF No Mercy, and SmackDown Here Comes the Pain ruled my childhood. Being able to recreate my favorite rivalries and have insane matches were like a dream come true. Many Saturday mornings and after-school hangouts with friends were spent fantasy booking our Monday nights. While my interest in video games has never wavered, I can't say the same for wrestling until a few years ago when I was couch-ridden for several weeks after having knee surgery. I ran out of things to watch very quickly. After seeing some of the antics of the current era WWE and the sportsmanship of New Japan Pro Wrestling on social media, I decided to give it a chance again. Let's just say I'm glad I did. In 2019, an amalgamation of my favorite parts of WWE and New Japan came together to create the first legitimate rival to the WWE in years, All Elite Wrestling. Created by Tony Khan in collaboration with The Elite, an offshoot of the New Japan stable Bullet Club consisting of Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, the Cleaner Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page. After just passing the first anniversary of their weekly TV show, AEW announced the creation of their AEW Games YouTube channel, and in a live stream that took place earlier this month, revealed 3 upcoming games. The most interesting of these announcements was that an AEW console game was coming from developer Yuke's, who were the longtime developers of the WWE 2K series, as well as the classic SmackDown titles on PlayStation in the early 2000s. With this information now public, I've been thinking about what I'd want to see in this console game, as there hasn't been what I'd consider to be a great wrestling game in years. And guess what? I've come up with a list. Oh yes. Here are 5 things that we need in the All Elite Wrestling video game. Number 1. SmackDown Evolved. While developer Yuke's was the company behind 2003's SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, they became responsible for developing a yearly installment for the WWE up until WWE 2K19. Yuke's certainly knows a thing or two about wrestling games, but what it seems they haven't been given in the past is time. I'd love to see what Yuke's could do now that they're not being held to a yearly release schedule. In addition to this, Gaeta-san, one of the former directors for WWF No Mercy, has joined Yuke's to help develop this new game. What All Elite Wrestling needs to do is give Gaeta-san and Yuke's enough time to evolve and develop this game into a title worthy of our time and money. I hope that this game focuses on what made older Yuke's and AKI wrestling games so good. Not every game that is sports related needs to be a simulation of the real thing. I feel like this is partially what 2K and WWE forced Yuke's into doing by making their release schedule a yearly thing for so long. Professional wrestling is bombastic, so give us all the pomp and circumstance that it deserves instead of having us deal with the minutia of chain wrestling to get an upper hand on our opponent at the beginning of a match. I want to paradigm shift someone through a table with ease. Number 2. Out from the underground. Often, the most enjoyable part of any wrestling game is playing with others. But the mere realization that professional wrestling is a soap opera in Speedos makes me remember that it's at best when there's an interesting, nuanced story to go along with it. So often career modes in wrestling games feel like they're tacked on, like a line item to check off on some marketing materials. Or even worse, it's a huge part of the package that was obviously designed and written by someone who has no interest or passion for the industry. One great example of a good story mode is Def Jam Vendetta and Def Jam Fight for New York. Both games had interesting, if a bit goofy, stories that involved the hip-hop and underground fight scenes that played out in what are essentially wrestling matches. With real-life Def Jam artists and other celebrities playing the characters, it was easy to get invested in what was essentially a TV miniseries happening in a video game. Creating a story mode that varied depending on the chosen character would be an interesting way to go as well. For instance, if you chose Chris Jericho, the story would have him explain in vignettes why he needs to evolve his constantly changing persona, to his motivations behind creating the Inner Circle after becoming Le Champion. Adding little fictional behind-the-scenes moments like these could go a long way in helping make the career mode memorable. Now that we're just about at the halfway mark, why don't you take a second to like this video and consider subscribing to the channel. I post gaming-related lists, reviews, and impressions on a weekly basis. Number 3. Stadium Stampede. A blessing in disguise from the COVID-19 pandemic is how All Elite Wrestling has dealt with the climax of several feuds throughout this trying time. Since there's been next to no crowds, AEW has needed a way to up the ante in a way that is conveyed effectively to the viewer. This is normally done through building up the live crowd to a fever pitch week after week. Instead of this, AEW has used somewhat unique takes on existing match types to come up with something new. By adding new and unseen variations of match types that haven't been seen in other promotions, we were given something new to be excited about, even if it did turn up being similar to something else we've seen before. If Yuke's were to take inspiration from these matches and create some new game modes based off of them, it could be a fun spin on a match type for a new game. A huge multi-level Stadium Stampede match with interactive objects, a drivable golf cart, and the ability to basically cause absolute chaos through the TIAA Stadium and Daly's Place would be hilarious. Better yet, let us have an Ultimate Deletion match at the Hardy compound, with cameos from Senor Benjamin and the Dilapidated Boat. Number 4. Customize your AEW. One of the best parts of any wrestling game is the ability to create a multitude of customized grapplers, each with their own moveset, crazy appearance, and even AI tendencies. Wrestling games exceed in this department when they allow the player to customize not only their wrestlers, but many aspects of the game itself to their heart's desire. From the design of the arena and ring itself, to the aprons, pyrotechnics, and even referees. Allowing the player to customize as much as possible will really go a long way in creating replayability for gamers. Being able to do this and manage your own version of AEW how you see fit would be an awesome selling point to those who have waited for a new wrestling game. With this in mind, my last point could really drive home the impact of what could make this game the next big thing on the market. Number 5. Community content. The biggest thing I think that Yuke's could do to make this game a hit is to embrace the gaming community, and especially the creators who love to make content for it. The later years of the WWE 2K franchise offered community-submitted content to be uploaded to their servers and searched, sorted, and downloaded to a player's console. This allowed the 2K community to constantly update the game with new outfits for wrestlers, championship titles, and even creator wrestlers for everyone to download. This went a long way in extending the life of each new installment. Just being able to watch a pay-per-view and seeing a wrestler come out wearing a new shirt, then having someone upload a version of it the next day to community creations for everyone to use was simply sublime. Fire Pro Wrestling World also did similar with their PC version and its integration with the Steam Workshop. This allowed players to simply browse pages of add-ons and customized characters, adding them to their rosters with the click of a button. While I would love to see Yuke's support the game with some Hardy DLC to extend the life of the game, I think embracing community contributions is what it needs to do to make it an installment that will be enjoyed for years to come. I think that wraps things up pretty well. While we're obviously pretty far out from the actual release of this game, I couldn't be more excited for this love letter to the wrestling games of old. Is there anything I missed out on that you'd like to see become a reality in the AEW video game? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.